Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another stream here on our American Family Insurance DreamBank page. I'm Maddie, and I'm a dream curator here at DreamBank. And today I have the honor of introducing you to Angela. Angela Keelan helps leaders access their authentic selves and shine both in their personal and professional lives. She is passionate about helping individuals clarify their vision and translate inspiration into action. Angela offers one-on-one life and career leadership coaching. Her work is grounded in 20 plus years of experience in coaching and consulting in human resources, leadership development, performance management, and employee relations. Angela is a member of the International Coaching Confederation and co-founder and president of the nonprofit 100 Plus Women Who Care Madison, and is a 24-year cancer survivor. She knows firsthand the struggles and the lasting rewards of living your dreams. Take it away, Angela.
Thank you, Madeline. And hello out there to everybody. It's great to be here. And thanks for joining me during a very busy week and a very snowy day here in the state of Wisconsin. We're going to get started here. And as we do, as people are joining our discussion, I'd like you to take a minute and just look at the screen and give it a thought as to what this possibly could be. And I promise you it's relevant to our conversation today, and we'll get back to it later. So I'd like to thank DreamBank for the opportunity to be with you here today, as my goal here today is to inspire action and transformation. So that's my goal. And I want you to feel you can be bold in your life in the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment. So today I'm going to share 3 life paths that are relevant to the conversation of living boldly after life happens. And what I mean by life, I mean by a life event, something that has impacted your life in some way and has somehow changed you. So today we're going to talk about more happiness, better health, and discovering a new life purpose, perhaps, that meets you where you are today. So I believe you have a purpose, and I think you believe it too. Even if you might be a little cynical because of life circumstances, it can happen. You might not talk about life purpose ever, and you might think, Ange, what are you talking about? Well, I'm going to tell you. Life purpose is the one thing that is really inescapably interwoven in the fabric of our life, of happiness and health and productivity. We are more productive when we're inspired and feel our lives have value and meaning in what we're doing. So I have been working with people and helping them reach their goals and gain clarity in their lives. And there's just not one occasion when we're doing this work when someone really can recognize that life purpose plays into their health and happiness. It's like a light bulb goes on. It's fantastic. And as we know, life inevitably pushes us down, has us do U-turns, takes the wind out of our sails. All sorts of things happen to us in our life. And sometimes we just need a reminder of who we are, what we're made of, and that we're worth it. So here's a contrast to our world here in Wisconsin today. Today it is absolutely snowing and it's gorgeous outside. And this photo is pretty gorgeous too, I'd have to say. And I want to talk about your must-haves for happiness. Give yourself some opportunity to think about this. The Dalai Lama says that the purpose of life is to be happy. So let's explore this a bit. The purpose of life is to be happy. Well, what are your must-haves for happiness? Generally speaking, good health for yourself and your family is a very common answer. Also, having wealth. You want to have enough money to be able to do things, have choices in life, have options, right? And lastly, you want to have ease in your life where your stress is down and you just have a sense of ease and fun and lightness about your life. These are some common answers to what are your must-haves. Well, what happens if you are working toward these things or you have some of them, and along the way, you realize something's telling you you're meant for something different, or you're looking for something more, or something's missing. And on top of that, what happens if, a major incident affects your life and throws you off course even more? So that all kind of gets buried because we all work hard. We are all grateful for what we have, and we're working for more. But sometimes there's just that something that's talking to you and saying, and, or whomever, there might be more intended for how you spend your time and where your life is directed. So what would the impact be if you thought about what that is and what your purpose could be in the world? Well, let's take a look at what actually determines happiness. So we've got Buddy the Elf smiling at us here to keep us in sort of light about a graph, because graphs aren't always all that fun and light, but the information is very important. So if we take a look at this and what determines happiness, we have your life circumstances. Only 10% determines your happiness. Your genetics, how we're wired, makes sense that 50% of what determines our happiness is based on how we are wired and what we're capable of. And today's discussion, intentional activity or life purpose, is about 40% of what determines your happiness. So interesting that in this illustration that your intentions have more power than your circumstances. It's pretty impressive, pretty powerful, empowering information. Because if you look back on the last 12 months and what's gone on just unexpectedly around the world, circumstances have changed absolutely for everybody. But our intentions are really what holds the power here in our happiness. And I wanted to just share this with you so that it might inspire you to take a little more action as we go along here in our discussion. So what if I told you that life purpose also has positive effects on your overall health? Let's take a look. So let's see, if there was a vitamin that you could take that would accomplish these things, would you consider taking it? Probably. So having a life purpose and living your life with meaning means you could affect your chances of Alzheimer's by 50%. 50. It reduces inflammation in the body by 57%. You could reduce your risk of a stroke by 50%. Not to mention how many people have trouble sleeping these days. This even helps you sleep better. So clearly, living with a purpose and discovering what that is not only good for your happiness, it's good for your overall health. Clearly, the benefits are real. So do I have your attention? I hope so. Does anybody here recognize these people? Well, if you're at all familiar with the show that's stated on the screen, captioned on the screen, this is the Rose family from a very popular TV show that's currently on Netflix and other cable stations. And the Rose family I'm just sharing them with you because they go from riches to rags. They go from a very affluent lifestyle to a very humble lifestyle. And they move to a motel in a small town. And it's all about their journey of really reclaiming who they are and what they're about, reclaiming their power. And the other reason I wanted to share them is because they bring a little bit of a lightness to the discussion. And there's a lot of comedy along the way. And it speaks to what life should be about and keeping our senses of humor. So this brings us to life path number 1 of reclaiming your power. Like the Rose family, we all go through major life-changing events in various ways. And as we saw on that graph, life circumstances really make up only 10% of what determines our happiness. What makes up most of it is our intentions and really how we're wired. So Madeline mentioned in my intro that I am a cancer survivor. And it's an event that happened in my 20s, and it's not uncommon, and it is by no means an exceptional story. There are a lot of people who have walked this journey. But I mention it because it's a real example of what can happen in our lives that's unexpected and at a young age. And I mention it because I put on the strong face. I had so many things in the right column that I did very intentionally, and I worked very hard in my career, and everything was going really the best that it could. And I was very intentional about my life. And I came out of that a very different person, of course. But what I realized over time was that there were things that I had not faced really completely. And so I realized that I needed to do a little more work in accepting some of the permanency of what took place. And this is the roses saying we're all going to be okay. So here is the process that pretty easy to do if you find yourself where that reclaiming your power is really where you need to be. And this is a path of self-love, self-compassion, and all about caring for yourself. So what could be better than that, right? What is a better gift to yourself? So when you realize that there's something within you that's sort of still in conflict, you want to bring an awareness to it. Oh, I'm aware that, oh gosh, that's still on my mind. And instead of resisting it or somehow acting upon it, just send yourself some self-compassion. And as you send yourself that compassion, the conflict continues to mitigate and it continues to slowly go away. And you are working through sort of the situation as it is. And eventually, what happens is it creates space and your world starts to grow. It gets wider, and your ideas about your possibilities for your life get bigger. And you come to this place of strength, absolute strength and acceptance. So where you were weak, perhaps, or where you were lacking, you are now in a place of total acceptance and strength. And don't we all deserve that? So that's life path number 1, reclaiming your power. This brings us to life path number 2, in helping others. And this comes after we've gone through the work in getting back to our empowered person, to our complete self, and feeling just, seeing things through a new lens, and just so much positivity has come out of it. Perhaps think about, to help you get in the mindset of what this path is about, think about someone who you admire in the world, who is dedicated to helping others in a way that just is unbelievable. I think one example that everyone knows of is Oprah Winfrey. She's just this impressive celebrity philanthropist who has dedicated her several years toward giving back to causes, where she's dedicated like hundreds of millions of dollars toward causes, including international schools down in Africa. She's just done incredible things. And she grew up in in meager means in Mississippi and was in an abusive family. This is someone who just inspires a lot of people. Now, she chose to do that after living a childhood of difficulty and abuse. So life path number 2 often comes to be of interest to people who have overcome and strengthened their lives in ways that they just want to share with others. They want to help others because this compassion has just exploded in them for other people who are suffering. And their hearts have just grown as big as, the world, as big as the room. And there's nothing else they'd rather do than helping other people. And this is just a fantastic way to reach a sense of happiness and fulfillment that really is shared, with others in a way that wouldn't otherwise be shared. This path is also of interest to people who often find themselves by no intention necessarily, but find themselves sort of off of course of where they thought they might be. Like as a child, you think about, what am I going to be when I grow up? And you think back to that child, and maybe you're not anywhere near that place right now. Well, interestingly enough, doing things to help others can help bring us back on course. So I encourage people to think about ways that maybe this might be incorporated into their lives. And it could be incorporated as a volunteer, it could be incorporated helping people in your family and your circle of friends, or even as a side business, or even as something you'd want to change into a career. So after you do the self-care and the self-love, a great opportunity for people to expand and share that is to just choose to help others. So this is life path number 2. So if you missed the beginning of the presentation, I showed this slide, and I just wanted to show it again to keep you thinking, what in the world is this thing? So we'll talk about it at the end. So we're on to one of my favorite life paths, the third of the 3 we're going to talk about today, and that is living boldly by living your passion. So this is all about following your dreams and, you know, what makes your heart sing and what brings the biggest smile to your face. And it's all about what is of interest to you and what fascinates you. And so what I want you to think about is, in your lifetime, perhaps, what have you found that you've been passionate about? And perhaps it was when you were a child and you loved a certain sport, or you loved dance, or you loved clothes. You know, a lot of people discover fashion, or books, or acting. I mean, oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. And oftentimes, as we go through our career, develop a family, have responsibilities, we put our dreams and our passions on the shelf because we are really hardworking people and really intentional about creating abundance, right? Well, that also includes things that help you dream and help lift you up and fascinate you. So I'm really curious if you could give it some thought about what fascinates you right now in the world. And it's really the perfect opportunity to discover what that is, because we're at this time coming out of 2020, which was where everything was quieting down and we were really forced to stay home in one place. And the real us, the real person who we are, came out. You know, there was nowhere to distract ourselves to go or do or see and so forth. And we were required to just be. And so after that experience, what great opportunity do we have ahead of us to determine what's next? You know, what makes your heart sing? What makes you dream big? What makes you just beam? And that's what this purpose is about. That's what this path is about. And the great thing about it is you can express this in a way that is maybe you're just getting courageous and starting out to find out what it might be that you're interested in. Or you might already know, and you might think about, oh gosh, I can get back to, you know, my love for woodworking, or my love for baking, whatever it might be, and maybe take it to a higher level. The awesome part of this is there aren't really any rules, and you can do this as a passion project, you know, where you create a project that it's all about this end goal, and maybe you want to think about renovating your house, and what does that look like? Or you could create a side business, or you could create a new career. There are all sorts of possibilities of how you can dream and how you can live your passion. So I want to go over a couple of things that will help you for what you need to know to get started and where you want to go next. So basically, it's very easy. You get started by getting curious about where are you in life? What do I need? Do I need to focus on myself and, you know, getting to a place that's different than where you are now, and the compassion and the acceptance and the love? And that is a lot of people today. So it's a gift to yourself and to everyone, really. Or what's next for you? Getting courageous about next steps. So think about a time in your life when you were courageous. What did you do? And how did it work? So drawing on that courage so that you can move forward in the right direction now is really going to be key to lighting up the world with your smile. That's what we all want, right? Next big thing is you need to create an opportunity. If you want to go sailing like this sailboat we are looking at on the screen, you need to create the opportunity to do it. So that's the fun part. Oh my gosh, how am I going to incorporate this into my life? I highly recommend you work with someone along the way, a mentor or a friend that is interested in the same thing, or someone that can help you on your journey. A mentor, I recommend, I hope everyone out there has a mentor or can locate a mentor. It's someone that inspires them and can guide them, or someone that can help them stay accountable on their dreams, because we're always more successful when we're accountable. A couple more things. In order to start on this journey, you need to learn, we all need to do this, is to how to quiet our minds and how to be more relaxed. There's so much hyper information, hyper work out there, so much going on at once. Multitasking is sort of this expectation where we're on our phone, we're on a chat, and we're on Zoom, and then we're taking care of everything else in our world. And as we've learned, I think it's about 5% retention rate when we're doing that. So we just need to figure out how to slow down and get intentional about what's next for us. And then lastly, the mind is a wonderful servant, but not a great master. And so as we look at our to-do list as how we're going to move forward in our lives, and we look at some of the things on that list to get us to where we want to go, kind of need to step outside of our thought processes sometimes and just let the action take over and be very intentional about, telling yourself, okay, mind, stop with the overthinking. We're going to get up and we're going to get this done. Otherwise, you're going to probably find you might stall along the way. And I just want to encourage you to be aware of what can happen. So these are the three life paths that I wanted to talk about in relation to what to do after life happens. And so we've got reclaiming your power, helping others, and living your passion. Just easy peasy options to get started. And you might find you start on one and find yourself on a different path. But this is a great way to get started. And then lastly, what is this thing? Well, this is your brain on happiness. This is a protein that's carrying a molecule in the brain, and that contributes to the state of happiness. So see that little guy cruising along? That's going on. So it almost makes you feel happy. And that's my presentation today. I really thank you for the opportunity to share this information.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. It was wonderful. I really just want to upvote the mentor. That is something that I actually just started with in the last couple months, and it has really just transformed my life. So I'm going to upvote that. Mentorship is fabulous. So that was, I don't know, I underlined that with my notes. But thank you so much. All your tips were wonderful. Thank you everyone for signing on and joining us. Please, like and follow our Facebook page if you want more content like this. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.